question to Mr. Thomas. Dr. Thomas has translated Tirukkural into a nice manner. The first American translation. So we have Sundaram's translation published by Penguin, and the Tamil Nadu Textbook Corporation co-published this, both Sundaram translation as well as Dr. Thomas translation. Now we are going to translate into 10 European languages. So the second part of the Tirukkural, that will Porutpal, he has given the title as power rather than translating it as wealth. In many translation chapters, generally different translators use different. For example, Nadu Nilamai. So somebody used the word neutrality, somebody used the word impartisanship, Rajaji used the word rectitude. Like that, there is a different kind of translation. For the second part, he used the word power rather than wealth. I want to know the reason for that, and want you to elaborate on that.
Sure, thank you for that wonderful question. And before I address it, I just wanted to say my gratitude to be with these illustrious people on the stage, here with Dr. Irayambu, which is really wonderful. And I'm very delighted to be here with Meena Kandasamy, whose work I think really does a wonderful job of bringing new attention to an often neglected section of Tirukkural with fresh vision, fresh passion, and verve. And she really helps us experience the poetry of Tirukkural as poetry, as love poetry, as a poetry of desire. It's really, really marvelous. One of the things that is so interesting to me as a poet, as well as a translator, is that you cannot truly translate one word from one language to another language, even the simplest words. And so if you start with that, and then you say, how do you translate a work? Well, then we have to look at something that goes beyond the words, a kind of ecology of meaning that happens when two or more words come and are gathered together. And so, and at that level, there's something possible. At that level, we can have the hope of capturing something of a voice or a set of voices that are speaking to us through time. As far as giving a single word for the second part of Tirukkural, we can take a look at the word porol, and which we can say is wealth. But if you look at any decent dictionary, it can also mean meaning, substance, any number of things. And so you say porol in Tamil, and all of those meanings may be evoked for different people according to different circumstances. But you put a word like wealth, and you evoke a whole different series of connotations, associations, even at the level of the sound of the words. And so when I was working with my editor at Beacon Press, and we wanted something on the cover to evoke, well, what is this book about? Which, to introduce the work, it seemed important to me to have the second section, which is really about how we relate to each other in community. What does it mean to be a leader? What does it mean to advise a leader? What does it mean to be in relationship with other countries, communities? That a word that may evoke that larger set of concerns would be power, the way that money is a form of power. But even Thiruvalluvar, when he speaks about something like wealth, when he uses a word which can be more directly translated as wealth, like selvam, he's constantly telling us that real wealth, for instance, is learning. So we could say that the second part of the book should be called learning. The wealth of learning, or the power of learning. And so what I was hoping to do is to evoke the way that all of these words, as they start to be in conversation with each other, as these poems are in conversations with each other, the very meanings of our words are deepened, are enriched, we're given a new understanding of what is power, what is genuine, enduring wealth. What is it to know anything, or to be in a community, or to be a leader? That's part of an answer to your question.
Before going to start another question, which is your favorite Tirukkural?
It changes,
okay,
for the circumstances.
Okay.
But there is one that I thought is particularly fitting for today.
Okay, in Tamil and English, you can say. You used to sing, no?
Yes. And one of the things that I've tried to do in this translation, as I believe Meena Kandasamy has also done in her own translation, is to evoke the lyricism of Tirukkural. It has often been presented as, often by male missionaries of previous generations, as a kind of treatise, a kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Didactic text. And of course it has something to teach us. But it is also a poem. It is a poem of poems titled for the very poetic form that it embodies. And so it seems to me, and for people who are coming to Tirukkural for the first time, that any of these verses can be set to music. And so any of these verses should be, in translation also, singable. So here is a verse I think is particularly fitting for the Chennai International Book Fair. It is from a chapter on what it means to be strong in speech. And I'll give you the translation and then the original. When one attains sweetness and order in words, the world rushes to listen. Virinde thorol ketkum nyalam, nirindinide soludal vallar perin. When one attains sweetness and order in words, the world rushes to listen. And this verse, like every other verse in Tirukkural, could be sung. It could be sung in a traditional way, or it could be sung in a way that occurred to me yesterday and this morning. I'll start with the Tamil. Virinde thorol ketkum yalam, nirindanidu solludal vallar perin. Virinde thorol ketkum yalam, nirindanidu, 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 solludal vallar perin. That same verse in translation, I believe, ought to be, thank you, singable. When one attains sweetness and order in words, the world rushes to listen. When one attains sweetness and order in words, the world rushes, the world rushes, the world rushes to listen. Thank you.
Very nice. Our textbook corporation can arrange a rhyming training, rhymes training with Mr. Thomas to our teachers. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.